Smile 2 is the brand new horror film from Paramount Pictures that just hit theaters. This is the sequel to 2022 Smile, and back from the first movie from a director and writing chair is Parker Finn, who's the sole writer and director of both films. In this one, it is Naomi Scott who's in the leading role as Sky Riley, a pop star, as compared to the first one, which was about a psychologist. This one is about a pop star who witnesses a death of a high school friend who is Louis Fergoli, played by Lucas Gage. And basically, when you witness a death in this type of franchise, you see them smile at you. And for a week, you are basically on a ticking time bomb of this parasite demon entity, making you crazy enough to to kill yourself a week later. Also in the movie is Peter Jacobson as Morris, an expert on this demon entity and someone who's the only person who doesn't think that Sky is going crazy. The film is 2 hours and 7 minutes long and is rated R. Welcome back to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. We're talking Smile 2. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Please, I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, out of theater reactions, box office show every Tuesday, and movie franchise rankings. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new. Comment down below. If you've seen Smile 2, did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you like it more than the first movie? Do you want to see more movies in this franchise? Let me know your thoughts. If you've not seen it, tell me, are you going to get into the Smile franchise, or is this a horror film that you're planning on skipping to see in the theater? And also, please like the video. So I did a review here on this channel 2 years ago of the first Smile, and I saw it one other time. So I've seen the first movie twice, and I thought the first movie was kind of like okay. Again, and coming to this movie, I was excited because I am a big Naomi Scott fan. I'm someone who actually enjoyed the 2019 Aladdin movie and didn't understand why she hasn't made a big enough move in Hollywood yet after being the co-lead in a billion-dollar movie. And obviously, I know Charlie's Angels in 2019 did not work out for anyone involved in that movie. But she really hasn't been in Hollywood in a mainstream way ever since. So I was happy to see her get this leading role. So that's kind of why I was excited for this movie. And I'll say that from a acting perspective, I think the first movie is very well acted, but this is a really fantastic leading performance from Naomi Scott. It's one of the better performances I've seen, better leading performances that I've seen in a horror movie all year long. I mean, this movie completely rests on her shoulders, and she has to go through such ranges of emotion because she has this panic attack thing where she has to chug bottles of water in order for her to calm down. She's screaming a lot, she's crying a lot, she's in a lot of panic attacks. She's hitting herself. There's so many different things. And Naomi Scott brings it all. It's by far and away the best performance of her career. And it makes this movie as good as it can be because I think Naomi Scott really delivers in the leading role. Now, obviously, you knew she's going to bring that pop star element. She is playing a singer, and obviously, we know if you've seen Aladdin or any of her other music that Naomi Scott is capable, obviously, in the music scenes of the movie. But you don't really think about that because she's so good in the dramatic sequences. She absolutely carries this movie on her back. The other big positive is the director, Parker Finn, who the first movie, I think this movie only has a $10 million budget increase from the first movie, but this feels like, I think this budget's around like 28, $30 million. This movie feels a lot more expensive than it actually is. And that's a lot of credit to Parker Finn, the director, and Charlie Saroff, who is the cinematographer for the movie. This cinematographer also was the cinematographer for the first Smile, as well as earlier this year's Night Swim. And the movie feels a lot bigger than the first movie. Now, obviously, one, you're kind of in a mental health institute, and this one, you're kind of on the tour of a famous singer. But the actual sets are really well done. And I think from a cinematography and directing perspective, there's still a really good balance of, yes, when we're in these concert scenes, the movie can feel very big, but then when we're in these one-on-one isolated scare sequences, the movie can feel very quaint and very intimate. And that's really hard to do in a movie like this. And I think From a directing perspective, Parker Finn is going to be someone to watch. I'm not sure if if they make another Smile, if he'll keep doing this, but he is an interesting filmmaker, I think, moving forward in the horror space because the movie is very well made. As I said, there's movies that are made for over $100 million that don't look as good as this movie. And this movie, I think, has again around like a $30 million production budget. So those are all definitely positives. The costumes, the outfits that Naomi is wearing throughout the whole movie are very nice as well. But this one, very similar to the first one for me, has the same issues, which is that the movie does again have an interesting premise. Also forgot to say in my positive as well that the movie has an amazing opening sequence. The opening title sequence that sets up the title sequence is easily the best part of the movie. It has the most intensity, nervousness of the entire film, and the rest of the film really couldn't sustain what the opening scene had. But just like the first film, again, it's a really good premise. The idea itself isn't too stupid. It's not this mind-blowing, innovative concept, but it's a concept in horror that's simple, that should be able to set up scares very easily. But this is a franchise for them, me, it just isn't scary at all. It has very cheap jump scares. And then when the movie tries to add all this lore into it, it doesn't really come together for me in either film. I think I left both films thinking the same thing, which was that I walked in, the opening couple minutes got me really sucked into the movie. And then based off the endings, I was kind of like, sure, that's just how we're going to end this type of movie. Let's talk about the scares first. Again, I am someone whose my favorite genre is horror. It takes a lot to scare me, but these again are very just run-of-the-mill jump scares where the movie does have a lot of score and obviously Naomi Scott's music in the film, but you know exactly when we're going to get a jump scare because it's the only parts of the movie where the music, of course, is out. There's, of course, that scene where someone walks down a hallway. It's black. There's no music on. They're lingering, and then poof, a jump scare happens. I just find that, especially in Hollywood, like 95% of jump scares are just the same and are just not innovative. And I think in these type of horror films, you want inventive scares. And this movie goes for just cheap jump scare after cheap jump scare. And there's just, and for me, nothing was even close to terrifying me on any level. And I just wish for this franchise that does have an innovative concept, if they could execute innovative scares throughout. And you thought after the first film, they would go even scarier, but I think they went even less scary than the events of the first film with the jump scares. I just thought they were extremely lazily done. And I think if again, the French wants to make more movies, I would like them to be a bit more creative with how they do the jump scare scenes. Then you kind of get towards the third act of the movie, and I kind of knew exactly where the movie was going, and the twists and turns didn't really work for me. And the overall ending, just like the first film, kind of left me unsatisfied with the movie as a whole because I can't really get into the ending. Obviously, it was very spoiler, but I kind of knew exactly what they were going to do toward once I knew the direction of the third act. I was like, oh, this is probably what's going to happen. And it's actually exactly what happened. But as I said, the movie is very well made, has a really good lead performance, and definitely feels bigger than the first film. And that's why I actually enjoyed this more than Smile 1. But just like the first film, I think it has a great concept, but the execution of the plot and the lore, and also in this movie, the second act really drags. This movie is over 2 hours long, and this movie easily should have been an hour 40, hour 45-minute movie, but it drags to nearly 2 hours and 10 minutes long. And that's because the second act is extremely boring. The first act was very exciting. The third act is somewhat interesting, but the second act definitely drags. So overall, I'm going to give Smile 2 a 3 out of 5 stars. I am going to go 60% for the new entry into the Smile franchise. What are your thoughts on this film? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.